Hi, this is Russell Haight, and I am giving my impressions of this Antigua ProOne saxophone. So I just took it out of the case, and actually right off the bat, I kind of like the case. I think it's nice and solid. It's got some pockets, so it definitely seems like a pro case. I like the look of the horn. It's got a beautiful finish. It's got pretty elaborate engraving, which is pretty nice. And yeah, so the aesthetics just kind of right off the bat, I do like them quite a lot. Looks very professional. One comment I have now that I'm picking the horn up, it feels a little bit heavy to me, which isn't a bad thing. It's just an observation. The horns that I'm coming from are either a Selmer Mark 6 or Yamaha 82Z, and I have both of those out here, but it feels like this one's actually got more weight to it. So that's something sometimes I don't like in a saxophone, because I'm primarily a jazz player, and I find sometimes extra weight, like actual weight, puts a kind of darkness or dullness into the sound. Sometimes can be a little bit stuffy, and the lighter horns I think can feel a little bit more vibrant under the fingers, which is something I personally like. So I'll be curious to see how this plays in terms of that. I'm just going to feel around the ergonomics here, get a feeling for the keys. Ergonomics are right off the bat, they're very good. This particular horn is set up with what I would call kind of a medium spring tension, which is what I like. Okay, as I'm getting into it, I do notice the orientation of the keys more sharply angled, kind of with respect to the body tube. So, in other words, the left-hand keys feel like they're angled a little more this way than I'm used to, especially on the Yamaha saxophone, which feels a little bit more flatter, which is to say in this way. But I do notice that in particular in the left hand, not good or bad, just a slight difference from what I'm used to. And also in the left hand, I do notice the palm keys feel a little bit more spread out and maybe a little bit larger than I'm used to. Again, just an observation, not necessarily good or bad thing, but they do feel just a little bit kind of bigger. So I think some of that would kind of depend on if somebody had bigger hands, maybe this would be more comfortable for them. I'm not exactly sure, but it feels like no problems, but it does feel like they're bigger, a little more spread. It feels like the keys are angled a little bit differently with respect to the body tube. So those are some observations on that. Let me just keep. One thing I noticed that this front F key actually feels, I'm really nitpicking, it feels a little bit far away from the B key. Just a small amount. It's just, I have to make more of an effort to kind of go, if I were going from like A, C up to that F. It's not quite right there. I wish that were just a little bit lower right there. They feel good, you know. I do also notice the B to C sharp mechanism. Okay, yeah, this is something a little different. It feels quite a bit different than what I'm used to. I'm used to the more traditional two rollers, and I know I have seen this on at least one other type of saxophone before. Maybe a Yanagisawa has this. For me personally, I actually don't care for this type of a mechanism. I prefer the two rollers. I just find it easier to go back and forth. Of course, we're talking low B and C sharp, so it's not essential that we have great technical speed down there. But I do find that slide it's doable. It's just slightly less easy than either on the 6 or the Yamaha 82Z that I'm used to. Working my way down the horn, the right hand all feels great. The D sharp, low C, great, nice positioning on the chromatic F sharp, and now this one has an F sharp key, and I should say that I'm not used to an alto that has the F sharp key, and maybe that accounts for some of the added weight. I'm also seeing some kind of interesting bracing here on the bell keys that are maybe for stability. So neither of the horns that I typically play have that, so that might be where the weight is coming from. But yeah, ergonomics, aesthetics, all look great, and feels pretty great in the hands. Got some subtle differences, but nothing really prohibitive or majorly problematic. I think a lot of this is probably just based on personal preferences and what I'm used to. I've been playing the same kind of horns for a pretty long time now. So move on to the playing part now.